When we talk about what we need to do to leave this room, like Tamian pointed out, we're going to have the same options. We're going to have the same opportunities that we always have, right? You can go out, you can go back to work, you can go back to what you were doing, and you could truly dig in, you could truly be determined, and you could truly make that change that you know needs to happen. Or you can get bogged down in your inbox, right? You can go back and you could persevere and you can work through it. Or you could be discouraged by your first no. These are all things that you can do, the same options and opportunities. And no matter how good a conference is, no matter how engaging, no matter how entertaining, no matter how great, it doesn't change that piece of it and what it is that you have to do. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, one of the things that's a challenge for me is the attitude that we approach these things with and how you all see yourselves. Is that a rocket ship? I mean, whoa, that's serious. But seriously, I want you guys to think about how it is that you all think about yourselves and the part that you play and what it is that we're able to do. Obviously, we go to a lot of places and we do a lot of things. And we talk to people all the time, and they rush up to us and they talk to us about how they want to change the world and how things can be better and how if this happened and how if that happened, we all would be better for it. But just as soon as we are approached with that energy and that vigor and that excitement, we are just as quickly confronted with defeatism. They'll never change. I don't have enough money. I don't ever have enough time. They're not ready for it. And the reason why that's so frustrating for me is because all of this is available to us, and we talk ourselves out of it. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I have a relatively high self-esteem. Anybody that knows me knows that, okay? And some might even question whether or not I have an issue with humility, okay? And to that, I would generally respond, it depends on how you define humility. And this is something I feel like we need to challenge as we leave here today, as we go forward. Because the way people typically define humility goes a little something like this. This is the traditional definition of humility: a modest, a low view of one's own importance. And I think that is absolute madness. Because you all are important, and you all do important things. But here is the key. People don't fix stuff that they don't think is important. They don't fight for stuff that they don't think is important. They don't stand up for people that they don't think are important. The very last thing you should do is allow yourself to think that you are unimportant and that somehow excuses you from the responsibility of changing things that need to be changed and fixing things that need fixing. For me personally, what I had to find out is that my confidence, my ability to jump into things and not be afraid, my confidence that I have doesn't come from me. And that's the definition of humility that I operate under, which is that whatever it is that I am, it's not in and of myself. As I said earlier, we are a collection of contributions. We are a library of lessons. What I am, my confidence draws from what I think about other people. So if you don't think enough of yourself, I encourage you to think about people who have invested in you. Are they something? Are they special? Are they smart? Are they clever? And what did they give you, and what are you doing with it? There are two gifts that I hold highest that I feel like I have. And even if I say I've gifted, some people might see that as conceit, but that's exactly what it means. I was gifted these things. Two gifts I hold highest is how I see things and how I say things. How I see things came from my uncle. Now, my father wasn't active in my life, but I have 4 uncles that I got most of my attributes from. These are all very strong men that have very distinct personalities, and they all gave me something. I drew from all of them. But the youngest uncle, my Uncle Danny, he was kind of the cool uncle. He was the hustler. He always was working and grinding and trying to do a new thing. He was ever the entrepreneur. He never saw himself working for other people. He never saw himself piggybacking on somebody else's dream. He had his own vision, the way he wanted to do things, and he always worked for it. And one time we were having a birthday party at Major Magic's. Now that would be comparable to Chuck E. Cheese here. And so we're at Major Magic's, and I say to my uncle, I say, man, we should open one of these. And I could see his mind, and I didn't really appreciate it at the time like I can now, but I saw him started to do the math. I saw him looking around, and he's saying, okay, there's 150 people in here. If they all get $5 of tokens, and then there's the pizza over there. That can't be more than $2, and you blah, blah, you can sell that by the slice. And I saw him doing the math and putting all of this together. Fast forward a couple weeks, he comes and picks me up with my sister, and we go to this empty convenience store. And we go inside. I'm not really sure why we're there, but we go inside of this convenience store, and there's still shelves and broken tiles, and there's still coolers and all of those things. And he says, I think this is it. I think this would be the perfect place for Uncle Dees. That's what we were going to call it, Uncle Dees, right? And as we're standing there, and it looks nothing like what we came from at Major Magic's. It's just a bunch of shelves and broken tiles and coolers and all of those type of things. And then he turns to me and he says, what do you see? My brain blew open. Because in that moment, as a busy-minded kid that had a million ideas, and everywhere I went, I saw things that people didn't see. I saw the way chairs were set up, and I saw drapes, and I saw doorknobs, and I just saw all these other things that I didn't know what to do with because I wasn't invited to do anything with them. And as soon as he said, what do you see? All of it came into play. I could see where the ball pit would go. I could see where the arcade would be, where you would get your pizza, where you would exchange your tickets. I saw families together. I saw faces. I saw the way people looked. I saw them laughing. I saw it all. I had my first vision. And after that, I saw things differently. I never just saw the thing that other people saw. I always saw more. I didn't know what to do with myself before that. And then I understood what it was. My brain didn't come in a box, and it didn't fit in one either. I got that moment right there. How I say things, well, that was from one of my teachers, Mr. Barlow, actually, Lincoln High School. Shout out, Pats. Now, he was one of my favorite teachers. I didn't really get along with all of my teachers. I wasn't necessarily the ideal student. Apparently, people didn't appreciate my particular brand of participation. Turns out some people thought I might be a distraction. But he didn't see it that way. He would use me as a way to start conversations, and we would have these really robust conversations in a space that we almost never had these type of conversations. And we would talk about real things. And he always got me. He would talk to me like I was intelligent. Not everybody did. Not that I was as wise as him, but as intelligent, or at least I could be. And I always wanted to show off for him. I always wanted to impress him. And I had an opportunity because he asked us to write a paper, and I was going to slay it. So I broke out the thesaurus. I got every big word I could come up with. I threw it in there. I mean, I had it all. I was going to kill him. I was going to blow his mind. And before we turn it in, I actually let one of my friends read it. And she reads it, and she says, well, what's up with all these big words? I can't understand this. And, you know, after being surprised because I was waiting for her to heap praise on me, I snatch it back. You wouldn't understand. But he will. And so I turn it in. Days later, it comes back, and he flops it on my desk, and it's like a C or C minus, and I'm pissed. I'm frustrated. I don't know what's happening. This is. He must be confused. There was a mistake. And so as people leave, I go to his desk because I know that there's a problem, and I throw it on his desk, and in his way, with his glasses sitting on the edge of his nose, he looks up at me and says, yes. I said, well, something's wrong here. I couldn't have possibly got a C or a C minus. And he says to me, well, it's not a very good paper. He was very direct that way. I said, well, it's not a very good paper. He said, let me ask you something. He said, is this for me or is it for you? I said, well, it's for you. You asked for the paper, I gave you the paper. He said, it couldn't have been for me because you didn't care if I got it. And then he said, stop trying to sound smart and be smart. My brain flew open. In that moment, it clicked for me, and I understood that I didn't have to try so hard. Because if I was as smart as I thought I was, would I really have to try so hard? And then what I really learned is how to speak. I realized that every time that I was talking, every time I was communicating, I already knew. Everything I said, I already knew. Everything I acted out, I already knew. And that's when I understood that communication is not message sent. It's message received. Communication is selfless. It's not about me. Anytime I open my mouth, anytime I communicate, it is for the benefit of someone else. It changed the way I spoke to people. But here's the thing that I would like for you to understand, is that for my uncle to be able to teach me how to vision, it took failed businesses, failed relationships, a whole lot of money, and a whole lot of sleepless nights, and he gave it to me for free. I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to suffer through that. Mr. Barlow taught me how to speak. He was a teacher 30 plus years before he got me. Had thousands of conversations with thousands of kids about thousands of things, all so he can craft the right message for the right kid at the right time. The point I'm making to you is, we were gifted with these things. All of you in here have very special gifts. You are talented, and you know you are. And it's not acceptable for you to walk around like you aren't. It's not acceptable for you to act as if you're not as special or important as you are. We have a lot of big things to do. We have a lot of big problems to tackle, and we can't do it with people hiding from them, with people hiding from their gifts and their talents. So if for whatever reason you do not think that you are enough, if for whatever reason you are not convinced that you are the person to solve that problem, to fix what needs fixing, to change what needs changing, I would ask that you think of the people who contributed to you and what you think of them. What do you think of the people who invested in your life? Are the things that they taught you, are the gifts that they gave you worth anything? Because if they are, what is your excuse for not using them? How dare you sit on those talents? How dare you sit on those skills? How dare you sit on these opportunities? We have to use them. We have an opportunity. So when you leave here today, I beg you to really look at yourselves and challenge yourselves and saying, am I really taking that chance? Am I really doing what I am capable of doing? And I'm honoring these gifts and these investments. How dare you not use them? How dare you not be great?